Welcome everyone to our travel experiences. I'm your host Kyle Rasmussen, and today is episode 60. That's a pretty wild number to be at. 60 weeks of this podcast, which is insane. I wasn't necessarily expecting this when I started this over a year ago, but here we are. I'm going to apologize right now in advance. Got a little bit of a cold right now, so a little too much traveling. So if I sound a little bit weird, I apologize. I'm sure I sound weird all the time, but voice is a little funky right now, so I might cough a little bit as I'm recording this. But anyways, with it being episode 60, every 5 episodes, I am doing sharing one of my own travel stories. So that's what I'm going to do here. And since I recently got back from Cuba, I thought, why don't I share about my trip to Cuba? So Cuba was amazing. I had no idea what to expect going there. Wasn't sure, what it would be like. Obviously, there's a lot of, there's a really interesting history between the U.S. And Cuba. I think a lot more interesting, even more interesting than I thought after going there and learning more about it. There's so much more to it than just since the revolution in Cuba in 1959. The history goes way further back than that. So let me talk about my trip here. So I went with For the Love of Travel again, which is an awesome tour group. If you're between 25 and 40 years old, I definitely recommend checking out their trips because they're amazing. They do a great job of helping you get to see the actual culture and history of the place that you're visiting. They help you get to those maybe lesser accessible type of places to travel to, and you get to meet a lot of awesome people that are similar age and similar mindset as you. So it's a lot of fun, and I've met people on these trips who have become really good friends of mine. Some of them have been on this podcast. Some of them hopefully will be on this podcast. But they're especially on this trip. I knew a number of people that were going to be on the trip already from previous trips with FTLO, and so it was a ton of fun. And I think we became really close. And honestly, they're some of my best friends now. So that was really amazing. But I left. Didn't do this crazy because I do a ton of planning for trips. Usually I like researching and having an idea of what I'm going to do when I'm going to do it, sort of thing, when I'm traveling. But this one, I just, with life and busyness and all the stuff I got going on, I just did not pay attention. I did not plan out really anything, and felt this is the least prepared I felt for a trip in a long time. And so it was a little bit weird to be heading out on this trip and not really, having things prepared necessarily. And Cuba's probably going to Cuba, leaving the country is one thing, but going to a place like Cuba too, it's probably good to be prepared because there is some extra hoops you got to jump through to get to Cuba and back. But anyways, so Monday night, oh gosh, what day was that? The 6th? Yeah, Monday the 6th of February. I finally got everything packed up. I got all the everything I needed, made sure I had copies of the passport, did all the forms that I had to fill out and sign. And then, really early Tuesday morning, I got up. I drove over to Seattle, went to the airport, and flew down to Miami. Being the cross-country flight and losing 3 hours going from west to east, I got there Tuesday evening, and met up with some of the people that were on the Morocco trip with me, who were going to be on this trip. And so we met up and had dinner and drinks, and then I went to my hotel and went to bed. and then got up early on Wednesday the 8th and went to the airport and got everything ready to go and flew down to Cuba, landed in Cuba around noon. And luckily, there was someone else I knew who was on the same flight. And so we took a taxi into town together and checked into the hotel, which was an awesome place. I'll definitely share more about that here in a minute. Um, and then we met up with some of the other people on the trip and had lunch. Had a really good fish fillet. It was awesome. And yeah, we just kind of hung out for a little bit and then went back to the hotel where we met up with everyone else and met up with the tour guide, Ivan, who was amazing. I hope he gets the chance to listen to this because he did an awesome job. Definitely kudos to him. He was so passionate about sharing Cuba with us and sharing what Cuba's really like, and it was awesome. He did an amazing job. um, so yeah, we kind of had our introductory meeting, just kind of go over ground rules, whatever. And then we went out on a walking tour with a local guide. So we toured the old city of Havana. Get to see all the really beautiful architecture. The architecture from the 20s and 30s was really beautiful. Got to see a lot of, there's a number of old churches there, and just kind of explore the city a little bit. And it was a lot of fun. Got to learn the history. Um, Learn a lot about some of the leaders throughout Cuban history. Learned, I guess I didn't really realize this. I feel like I might have heard it at some point, but didn't really retain it. But Cuba actually was, attempting to be be added as a state as part of the United States during the whole Civil War era. They're going to be added in potentially to try to keep slavery going in the U.S. So that was interesting. I hadn't really heard that before, I guess, or didn't realize that was a thing. I knew back in the early 1900s that a lot of Americans like to go down there and visit Cuba, and that was a good party spot and a good place for people to go spend some time at. Prior to the revolution. So, a lot of interesting history for sure. But it was a beautiful day. I mean, every day there was, in the 80s and humid and just nice, nice to be in the warm weather this time of year. And yeah, so we went and had dinner at San Isidro, which used to be. Sorry, got to pause here. San Isidro used to be the place where this male prostitute had his business going. But anyways, it was a beautiful rooftop restaurant and really good food. Of course, we had to have a mojito. We had a mojito as a welcome drink wherever we went. So a lot of mojitos over the course of the trip. Lots of good Cuban rum, and yeah, the food was really good. I think I had chicken or something. I don't remember that night, but it was really good. All the food we had was amazing. Actually, I was impressed at how good the food was. I had heard that the food wasn't super good in Cuba, but that was not my experience at all. All of it was amazing. So then that was pretty much it that day. I think everyone was tired from the travel, so we hung out at the hotel and then went to bed that night. And early in the morning, the next morning, I got up and went for a little morning run. There's a street called the Malecon that goes along the water in Havana. I think it goes for probably, let's see, I think they said 8 kilometers, so like 5 miles. Yeah, so it goes pretty far. But I ran through the city down to the Malecon there, ran along the water. It was beautiful with the sun, barely up, and just a beautiful morning. The water's crashing against the shore, and just got a beautiful view of of Havana. Lots of different sculptures along the way, which is cool. Um, yeah, you could see the Spanish fort across the way. And yeah, it was just nice. I like those morning runs. I did it every morning and I really enjoyed it. And then I came back for breakfast. The breakfast was amazing at the hotel every day. Eggs, fresh fruit, ham, cheese. It was amazing. The chef did an awesome job. I got to meet him. He was very nice. And I guess I'll speak about the hotel staff now. They were amazing. Um, Everyone was incredibly friendly. They knew all of us by name by the end of it, and just went above and beyond to make sure that we were okay. And so I was very very impressed with it. The hotel is called let me see. Oh my gosh, La Posada de Chacon, I believe. Let me double check on that. Where's that? I'm going through the pictures here. There we go. Yeah, La Posada de Chacon. Awesome place. Highly recommend if you're staying there. It was in a great location too, right by the Museum of the Revolution, right at the edge of Old Havana. Perfect spot to be. Perfect spot to be, and the staff is absolutely incredible. So definitely recommend that if you're planning to go to Cuba. So anyways, back to let's see. So after breakfast, got ready to go, and then today we got to go in the cruise around in the classic cars. We had 5 beautiful cars, all restored, looking shiny, absolutely beautiful. And the first stop we went to was the Spanish Fort across the water, across the bay there, and you get a beautiful view of Havana. Again, perfect day out. Sun was shining. It was warm. So it was really, really awesome to see the city from that perspective. Get some good pictures there. And got lots of good pictures of the car. And we cruised along, went by the Capitol, which looks very similar and was modeled after the one in Washington, D.C. We went by the university. We went to Revolution Square, where the Cuban government sits right now, and learned about the history of the revolution as well. Fascinating stuff there. And then we drove over to this art school, which is where there is dancing and art and other forms of art are taught. And we got to first learn about the dance crew that practices there, the Havana Queens, which was started as a female group, but does include males and females. And they gives a little bit of background on them. They travel all over the world, perform all over the world. They're well known, and anyways, they performed for us a little bit. They gave us a little demonstration of their different dances, which they're absolutely incredible. They're amazing. You can definitely check them out on. I'll get them up on the website and on the Instagram. And then we got to take a salsa lesson from them, which was a lot of fun. We were all sweating by the end of it. It was a good time. We did some freestyle dancing in there as well too. But yeah, it was a really fun way to spend the morning. And then we drove out to, I believe it's Hemingway Marina, and went to a restaurant right there on the water. Beautiful little restaurant there. The food was awesome there as well. And you could jump into the water. They had a little swing out in the water there. So I went out, jumped in, went swimming a little ways out there, sat on the swing, just enjoyed the water. It was really refreshing after the sweaty dance session. So that was nice. The water was very salty though, extremely salty. But yeah, of course we had mojitos. I think I had pork that day. Some really good ice cream for dessert. And then from there we went to, I can't remember the name of it now. I'm going to have to figure it out. But this artist who is known as like the Cuban Gaudi, he has a lot of these mosaic tiles and has essentially restored this neighborhood through his art, and it's just amazing. You see some like eclectic uh, sculptures and things like that are made out of these mosaic tiles that depict different people and um, different types of things. It's absolutely beautiful. Well worth the stop. Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, let's see from there. Went back to the hotel, and we kind of refreshed ourselves, and then got ready for the evening. And that evening, we walked to the Capitol. The sun was setting; it was golden hour, so we got some beautiful, beautiful pictures of the Capitol and just kind of that part of Havana. And then right next to the Capitol is where we got to do a cigar tasting, which was a super fascinating experience. As someone who doesn't smoke cigars, it was really fascinating to me. Um, there was a guy there who is essentially a sommelier for cigars, and so he gave us the whole background of tobacco, of Cuba, of tobacco in Cuba. He let us know that it's one small area of Western Cuba where the best tobacco in the world is grown, and it's only right there that it can be grown. um, so that was pretty interesting. He has the history of the different companies, how they have different products, how to roll a cigar, how cigars work, how you only use one plant per cigar, kind of thing. He told us how to hold it, how to light it, how all these different things. It was super super fascinating. And then we got to try one. So we all got to smoke cigars and drink some rum, um, and yeah, had some coffee with that too. And it was a ton of fun. It was a really 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 cool experience. I'd definitely recommend that to anyone that goes to Cuba as well. And then from there, we actually went not too far away and went to this restaurant where we got to watch the Havana Queens perform again in an actual performance setting. And they did an amazing job. The dancing was out of this world. The food was incredible. We had lobster, and I'm not a huge lobster fan, but that lobster was amazing. um, yeah. Then at the end of the performance, we got to go up on stage with them, which was a ton of fun too. Our dancing was not nearly as good. And then yeah, let's see. From there, we went to a place called La Seca, which is a kind of speakeasy type of bar. The entrance is through a bookcase, but really fun place. They played a lot of good music, a lot of American music, which I was kind of surprised at. Um, and yeah, it was just a ton of fun. And then from there, that was it for the evening. In the morning, I got up early again, went running. I went running the opposite way that I went yeah, along the Malecon that I did the day before. So we got to see some new statues, some new areas of the city, a little bit different perspective. And then, of course, had the great breakfast after that. And then we got on a bus and we drove just outside of town and went to a farm where it's a sustainable farm. Everything kind of recycles back into itself. Everything is used to support the growing of whatever it is. So they had pigs, they had chickens, they had water buffalo, they had cows, they had sugar cane, they had different vegetables, they had all sorts of stuff. Everything was there. Everything they used. Um, so it's fun learning about the history of that, learning how the farm works, learning how they're able to make it a sustainable farm where they're reusing and recycling everything to grow everything else. They had a beautiful cactus there. That was 200 years old, which was wild, and it's just really cool. They found a way to make everything work, and that was kind of the case with Cuba in general. It seems like time kind of stopped, in the 50s with the revolution, and they got cut off from the resources of the rest of the world, and people have just adapted. They found a way uh, to make everything work for them. Whether the tractor that was on the farm, which was 80 years old, they found ways to make everything run and find different parts to keep it going, and just make it happen. Or whether it was the old cars, that same thing. They've found ways to make them keep running. Um, or whether it was just finding food or finding a way to get a little bit of extra income, or find an opportunity. The Cuban people have just found a way to make things work and adapt to their situation, and it's really amazing to see. You see a lot of creativity, which I think is awesome. Um, but yeah, so we explored the farm, and then we had lunch there. Uh, if you don't want to see some, you might want to be cautious there if you're not a big meat person, because there is some pictures of the meat with the head still on it and everything. But the food was really good. Of course, we had mojitos again. They had live music there. The band was awesome. Played a lot of different music, not just Cuban, or not just salsa or stuff like that. They did some American songs. They did kind of all over the place. And then a few of us actually did a little horseback ride up to a hill on the farm. And after a short little hike after the horseback ride, you got a great view of all the way out to the water. You could see for miles and miles, honestly. And it was just, again, picture perfect day. It was beautiful. It was a good little additional expenditure, as well as a trip. So that was a lot of fun. And then from there, we went back to the hotel. A couple of us, let's see, we went and had lunch. No, we'd already had lunch. Yeah, that day, a couple of us just decided to walk around Old Havana, just check out, what what there was, different little shops and whatnot. There was the coolest thing though was there was this performer who has he had, he had a puppet, and he had the puppet painting a picture, and the pictures were actually really good, better than I could do by myself. And so the puppet would paint these pictures that this guy was controlling, where he couldn't see. The guy was hidden, but it was just amazing to watch. I will definitely post that video. Super, super fascinating. A very creative idea, and the guy did a really good job. So that was cool to see. Let's see. Went back to the hotel from there, and then we went out that night to dinner at this old factory that is turned, I don't remember the full name now. FAC is the initials. Let me see if I have it here. Oh, yeah, Fabrica de Arte Cubano. So we had dinner on the rooftop, which was super good dinner again. And then we went into the factory, and a really interesting concept. They had, I want to say, like 3 or 4 different stages for live music. So they had different DJs and live performers playing. And then they had throughout the warehouse different art installations, different collections. And then they had different bars and a restaurant in there as well. And so you could, it was like part art show, part live music venue. And it's such a cool place. Really interesting concept. And yeah, we had a ton of fun there. It was actually in 2019 named one of Time's world's greatest places to visit. And I can see why. It was a really cool experience. Yeah, so we spent the evening there, and then we went back around like 1 a.m. And went to bed from there. But anyways, the next morning I got up again, went for a run, went to a little bit different area along the water. Again, more statues, more beautiful sights to see. And then had breakfast, all that good stuff. and then we went out to a different section of Havana where we got to this little area is meant to promote the African heritage in Cuba and the African art. We got to see a Roomba performance, learn a little bit about the spirituality of Afro Cubans, and a little bit of the history and the art. So that was really fun as well. And then we went to a different area of the city, a little bit, I'd say, higher end part of the city, and went to this artist's home. And super, I thought when he started talking about his collection and what he was doing with his art, I was like, oh, that's such a cool idea, such an interesting concept. So this guy makes these, round pictures, paints them, and they're meant to look kind of like a planet in some way. And then he takes a camera and gets it really close to the picture and takes pictures of different areas of the picture itself. And then he blows all of those pictures that he takes, blows them up and puts them together. And so it's really fascinating. You get different perspectives, and it creates more art, and it's just absolutely insane. Ursula is his last name. I don't remember his first name, but I mean, amazing concept. It's meant to bring, meant to promote, one planet, promote peace. We're all just looking at it from different perspectives, but we're all one, all the same picture, So, yeah, that was awesome. Really enjoyed that. And I don't know if you can buy his art here in the U.S., but if you can, pretty cool. And then from there, we went back to the hotel. We went to a place called Cha 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 for lunch, and I had a great pork for lunch. And then some of us walked around town again. I bought some artwork, lots of beautiful art all over the city for sure. You can see the art everywhere. It's awesome. And let's see. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep going because my voice isn't gonna get any better. So I'm just gonna keep powering through this here. But yeah. So then that night was our last night. We went to a place called La Guarida. Sorry, and had dinner there. It was a little bit fancier type of place in this old building, and the courses were beautiful. Not only beautiful, but tasted really good. Not entirely sure what everything was, but it was all very, very good. I think I had pork, and they had like chicken taco type of thing, and I don't know. It was awesome. And then from there we went back to the water and went into old Havana again, and we went to one of the main squares there and had a drink and just chatted as a group. Just enjoyed the last night together. And yeah, so we just kind of hung out there for a while and then walked back to the hotel. And they had some flamenco going at the restaurant there, or at the bar that we went to. So we got to listen to that as well. And then yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. In between, sorry, the pictures are a little bit out of order here as I was going through them. I forgot, prior to dinner that night, me and one of the other guys on the trip, we went to a barber not too far from the hotel and got our haircuts and a beard trim and all that. And it was such a cool experience. You could see that he just found a way. The barber just found a way to make everything work. Everything was, old. It was run down, but it's been restored. It's been, recycled. It's there's a way to make it work. And he found a way, and he put so much passion and care into what he did. He was so proud of what he was doing. and took pride in doing a very good job, and he did do a very good job. And yeah, it was such a cool experience. You can read about that on my Instagram, but just so cool to experience that, to learn a little bit about his life, his what he's doing to try to better his life. He really wants to go to California, to see his daughter in the U.S. And yeah, it was just really, really inspiring. And I hope, the money that we gave him helps with whatever he wants to do. Yeah, just an awesome experience. So then next morning, that was last morning, I had to get up early. I was one of the early ones to leave, and went out, or had breakfast, said goodbye to the hotel staff, which was awesome. And they were great people. Sad to leave them, and flew back to Miami, and got a beautiful view of Miami when I was landing. And then I spent the rest of the day in Miami. I just got caught up on a bunch of work, watched the Super Bowl, all that good stuff. And then the next day, I hung out in Miami, actually Fort Lauderdale area, and then flew back to Seattle, which was an absolute nightmare. Got stuck on a tarmac for 2 hours in Seattle after we had landed from a 7-hour flight. And then I drove through the ice and snow home, but I made it home early in the morning the next day, and yeah, that was the end of the trip. But to kind of sum it all up, to kind of share my thoughts on it, hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much by now, but Cuba was, like I said at the beginning, I wasn't sure what to expect, and I think, I think there's a lot of negative biases towards Cuba. Obviously, the relationship between the U.S. and Cuba has been rocky, to say the least, in the last 50, 60 years, 70 years. But I'm excited to see that it's changing. At the end, I think towards the end of Obama's time as president, that's when things started opening up. It's kind of gone back and forth between being open and not being open, with the different presidents and all the politics going on. But Cuba is a lot more open to the world now. It really wasn't that hard to get there as an American. I just had to pay $100 for a visa, fill out a form, and it was super, super easy. I thought it would be much harder. That was one of the things that was really surprising about the trip, was how easy it was to go back and forth. I didn't really care at all. But yeah, it was such a rewarding experience to be there. I'm really excited that I can come back and share about it, because a lot of those stereotypes of Cuba are just not true. Yes, there is the people in the governments, both of the governments, that might have their differences, but the Cuban people were some of the happiest, most friendly people I've met. They cared so much about just going above and beyond to make sure that we were okay and happy. A lot of them were fans of America, and we're just happy that we were there. I'm sure the money that we bring in helps a lot, from what I heard from Ivan and from the other people there that are from there. The money that the tourists bring in is a big deal to a lot of people there, and to the economy of Cuba. You can see that the Cuba is, as a whole, is very poor. It is not. It's one of the poorer countries that I've been to around the world, and it's sad to see that a lot of people don't have a lot of opportunities. But like I said, people are finding a way. They're finding a way to get things done, to get food, to make make their lives better, and it's really inspiring. They're being very creative, and it's just a lot of fun to get to experience that. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Cuba. I think, if you ever had any interest in going to Cuba, if you wanted to check it out, to see the old cars, you will 100% get to see that and do that, and you'll have a great time. But I think you're also going to learn a lot about humanity as well. You're going to learn a lot more of the actual history, about the actual, what it's actually like there, not just what we hear on the news, not just what has been, uh, you know, disseminated to us in the U.S. And what we've been taught about Cuba. There's so much more, and it's an amazing place. Of the 30 countries I've been to, I would probably put Cuba at least the top five, maybe even higher. I'm not sure exactly. That's always a tough one to to try to determine which one's better because they're all so different. But for in terms of my experience and my uh, coming back, being changed for the better, definitely top five, probably top three experiences that I've been on. So highly recommend. It really isn't that hard to get there and back. So if you're scared about going, don't be. I will say it was nice being in a group. I think we got easy access to a lot of places that might be a little bit more difficult if you're going by yourself or if you don't know Spanish at all. Um, so maybe check out, getting a local tour guide. I can definitely send you Ivan's information. He's an awesome tour guide. But yeah, 100% recommend people go there. Uh, and I think you should go sooner rather than later too. That's one of the reasons I wanted to go there, and one of the reasons why I made this trip happen is I knew that Cuba was changing, that it was becoming more open as restrictions have been lifted on them by the U.S. And you can see that things are changing there. You can see that um, it is becoming somewhat more modernized as a country, and things are beginning to change a lot there. But there is that old charm there. There is a lot of the old way, the old guard, the old cars and buildings and all of those things. And I thought it was an interesting mixture of both. So you'll get the best of both worlds there. Um, but yeah, go travel, everyone. It's awesome. You learn so much. That's the best history teacher is travel. Um, some of my best moments in my life, and like I said, this is one of the top ones ever for me. So I can't speak highly enough of it, and I will do whatever I can to help you if you want to go there or anywhere else. I'll do my best to make it happen. So thanks again. I should probably shut up now, but thanks again for listening this long, listening to 60 episodes. That's amazing again to say. I apologize for my voice today. I'm doing the best I can, but yeah, thanks again to all of you. This is my dream to share the world with others, to promote travel, to promote positive travel around the world. It was a lot of fun to be able to bring positivity with me on this trip and come back, even more positive. And yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for helping me achieve my dreams. The book I got when I got back from Cuba, I got the first copy of my first book, and so that'll be out soon. You'll see some details on that. Um, yeah, it's so fun. I just got a huge smile on my face right now. But anyways, thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next week for episode 61. Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast,
you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon.